All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yeah, basically, as you can see in the title, Deceiving and Being Deceived. Okay, and what you see before you is a video, it's a clip that was put up by um GMS South Carolina 08, IDL de Manatizakaba. And it's a short clip in there. As you can see, it says Bishop Nate's flimsy MOTB excuse. Now, what I have here is I did I just typed in a quick Google search, which I'm going to show you in a second, um, linking with Revelation 13. Okay, and then we can go through that real quick. All right, and because the scriptures talk about first, let's actually get this. Let me share this real quick. This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 13. It says, "But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse," right? Not that they're gonna wane, they're gonna wax. Like the moon phases, you wax and then you wane. Anyway, shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. And that's what's going on right now. All right, there's a lot of deception up in the air. Okay, and hey, ultimately, we know that this is set up for those that the Lord wants to be caught up in that snare, because the scriptures tell you that the elect follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Okay, but as you can see, it says and seducers, right? So you have those that the Lord has not given the mental defense, all right, of being able to detect the lies and discern the truth, right? So because of that, they are seduced, and they fall under this this category of being deceived, even though this is very, very plain, but the scriptures talk about that, right? So let's play this video real quick, and then let's get the search that I looked up.
Africa, India, and they want to bring that here. So back in
It's like, let me put the speed back down. Time to turn it up a bit,
Revelation 13 and 17, because the question, how could they try to force the saints to sin through finances? Those that are weak and give up. Read verse 17 again.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark.
You had to be involved in their sin. If they see brothers teaching on the street, find them. Go into their bank account, take money out. Boop, boop, boop. That's what they do.
No man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. And the mark in this case being sin. And the way they're gonna enforce that is by finding you and taking money out your bank account if you are not involved in sin. But I mean, in that case, we should all be exempt, right? Because I mean, honestly speaking, we all sin. Right? The scriptures tell you that all have sinned and come short of the glory. We all sin. None of us are perfect. None of us are without sin. So none of us should have a problem with this, no? And if that's the case, then who's going to be delivered? Who does Revelation 3 and 10 apply to? That the Lord is going to keep from the hour of temptation. We've already failed. Right? I mean, go and read the Torah, go and read the laws that are written in there, and tell me which one of us is not guilty of at least one of those laws.
Now you have no food. They try to bend us to make us do what they want. That's what the Bible's prophesying about.
But then we're already doing what they want, right? They want us to sin. We're already sinning. We've been sinning since the beginning. Bars, right? But we've been sinning going all the way back. So I mean, then in that case, they don't need to even come and put a temptation on us. We've been sinning. Why do they have to come and try to force it on us? Why do they have to use finances to try and get us to sin if we've already been sinning from the get-go?
Wow, go ahead.
Good. Good and terrible.
Good and terrible. Anyway, so now let's go into this, right? Dealing with Revelation 13 and 16, right? The famous Revelation 13 and 16 and 17. Okay, 17 is very important here. We always have to remember that. I'm gonna read it real quick and let's take a look. So it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So we know that this he generally is Esau Edom, really, but in this case is really talking about the beast, right? Because the beast is made up of Edomites, right? Their power structure, but they are the ones through the physical form of, you know, the central banks, the different governments, and so on and so forth, the World Economic Forum, all of these guys, they're just different hands or strings or avenues that they use to cause, right? And when you go into the word cause, if it's poeo in the Greek, which means to fashion or to make ready. So everybody, that's the all, and it describes the people of different categories, different status, to all receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? Now, I mean, this sentence alone tells you really more than enough, because let's go with the logic. And this is the reason I'm doing this, is because you have to scrutinize. Okay, you have to scrutinize the doctrine. The scriptures say that we would have sound doctrine. When something is sound, you can't get around it. It is what it is. It's the truth, point blank, period. But if you can poke holes in it, then it's not sound. So let's see how sound the doctrine of sin being this mark right here is. The first point is, let's assume that the mark is sin. Revelation 13 and 16 is saying here that this beast is going to cause everybody to sin. I mean, we don't specify what kind of sin. It's just going to cause everybody to sin. But everybody's already sinning, though. Okay? Everybody's already sinning. Anyway, we go on and it says, okay, he's going to cause them to sin in their right hand, meaning that their actions, all right, their actions, and in their foreheads, meaning their mentality. Okay, let's go to verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell. This is commerce, right? Transaction. You can't make a purchase. You can't sell anything. You can't make any transactions, save he that had the mark. So anybody who doesn't have the mark cannot make any transactions. If we want to put it in layman's terms, that's what this is saying, right? Or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So verse 17 in the most common tense is that anybody that does not have the mark will not be able to buy or sell. All right? Okay. So let's now go back and take the fact that the mark is sin. Well, right now we're all able to buy and sell. Apparently, I mean, the another question that comes up is, so when is he going to do this causing of making everybody receive this? You know, but anyway, now let's deal with this. So we know that when we go into the word mark in the Greek, in order to really understand this prophecy, you have to, it's not optional, you have to go into the Greek word. You have to go into the root words of what you're seeing here. You got to go into what it was written in before English. Okay, but before we do that, we know that whatever this mark is associated with transactions. This is your key or your ticket in order to buy and sell. So immediately, this eliminates anything that does not have to do with buying and selling. Okay, what do I mean by that? This mark, in other words, cannot be anything that's not related to buying and selling. Meaning that if you don't have X, you cannot do Y. So if Y is buying and selling or transactions, what can X be? What can the mark be? What are the limited options that it can be? It obviously have to be some form of a payment system, right? Something that you use in order to buy and sell. Okay? Because we're dealing with transactions. This ain't talking about shoes. The mark of the beast cannot obviously be shoes. Oh, if you don't have these pair of Jordans, you can't buy or sell. Or if you don't own this type of car, you can't buy or sell. You don't wear this kind of dress, you can't buy or sell. None of those make sense. So what I did was I looked up, okay, what are all the forms of payments, right? All forms of payments today. Because Salakia, when you deal with buying and selling, you're dealing with payments. how you send money and how you receive money. That is something that they can actually control and regulate. How the hell are they going what they're going to create a system that says let's check everybody's purchase history, or let's check everybody's house to see if they own a pair of Jordans or not. And if they don't own that, then we're not going to let them buy and sell. Or they're gonna somehow track how you are sinning. You do realize when you say that the mark is sin, in order for them to enforce this here in verse 17, they need a way to track who has sinned versus who has not. That is the underlying factor here, right? How are they going to enforce this? Let's listen to what was said. Let's
was a test go to Africa, India, and they want to bring that here. So back in Revelation 13 and 17, because the question, how could they try to force the saints to sin?
Right. That's what we're all trying to find out, right? Revelation 13 and 17. How are they going to enforce what is written in 16, right? Make you take the mark. How are they going to do that?
Through finances.
Through finances. Okay.
Those that are weak and give up. Read verse 17 again.
So they're going to use finances to make sure that you sin. Okay.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark.
You had to be involved in this sin. If they see,
you got to be involved in this sin. What sin is that? There are numerous sins out there. What sin is it? What is this particular sin that apparently nobody is currently involved in? But there's going to be a period of time when the beast says, "Hey, this is this particular sin that everybody has to do in order for you to be able to buy and sell something."
See brothers teaching on the street, find them.
So if you see brothers teaching on the street, you're going to need to find them. That is a tactic that they're going to use to get you to sin. But like the elder apostle Ramlab, he did a video today. He was saying, well, brothers have been getting fined for years.
Go into their bank account, take money out, boop, boop, boop. That's what they do. Now you have no food. They try to bend us.
Now, let's go back to Revelation 13. Let me share this screen right here. Let's go back to Revelation 13 and 17, right? We're dealing with buying and selling. We need this. This has to be tied to some transaction, okay? You cannot enforce a policy based on a very abstract concept like sin. It is next to impossible for you to be able to track who is sinning or who is not, unless they institute something like you want to really you had a better chance going with an example like what Antiochus tried to do with the 7 brothers and their mother in the book of Maccabees, right? Because at that point you could say, oh well, he tried to entice them. He said, if you want to live, he didn't even say you're going to buy and sell. He said, if you want to live, come eat this pork, you know. That so you could say, okay, well, they're gonna tell you that anytime you go to the store, they got a range of sins. They got a range of sins, and you pick your point like Jeopardy, you know, or I don't know, Wheel of Fortune. You spin the wheel, and whatever the thing lands on, whatever sin it is, you commit that sin, and then they allow you to go and buy and sell. That's basically what you're saying. Revelation 13 and 17, no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. If the mark is sin, you can't buy or sell unless you sin. You sinning is your permission to buy and sell, right? How are they going to enforce that? What are they going to use to track who is sinning, what sins they're committing, when they're sinning? How are they going to do that? Now, let's deal with what the mark actually is, okay, which is, as we've, and I'm gonna just say it one time for the one time, all right? As we've always been saying, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, the RFID micro CHIP, all right, is the mark, okay? And when you go into the root words, which we've done numerous times, right? When you go into this word here, mark, because you have to go into it to understand what it's talking about. It goes back to the Greek word charagma, okay? And when you go into the meaning of that, one of the overall underlying definition here, they say a stamp, an imprint, and mark, but the overall concept here, because charagma is, as you can see, it says the mark branded upon horses, a thing carved, sculpted, graven work. Now, all of these things, even idolatrous images, which are going into idols, all of these things have one thing in common, which is what they describe here, an etching, or scratch, meaning that this involves, when you actually look up etching, the whole concept of that is going beneath the surface. When you brand a horse, you go beneath the surface to leave the imprint. When you carve something, you cut, this involves cutting beneath the surface in order to leave that mark. Let's take a look here. So like, let me share this tab. I got to get used to sharing the different tabs. Pardon me. But let's look at a carved, I don't know, tree. Okay, let us share this tab instead. All right, so I looked up carved tree. Here's an example. Okay, so you can see, look at that. It even has the name Mark. So as you can see right there, it says Mark, right? In this right here, in order for them to leave this imprint inside of the tree, they had to perform the action of charagma, which is they went beneath the surface of the tree to leave this imprint, this M-A-R-K in here. You had to cut with a sharp instrument beneath the surface, and it needs to be sharp so you can get below the surface, and then you leave whatever mark it is. So when you go to the definition of charagma, as you can see, it says a brand upon horses, thing carved, sculpture, graven work. All of these things involve cutting beneath the surface, right, of an idolatrous image. What do? They would take maybe a tree stump or something like that. If you look at how they form these images, and then they would take a sharp instrument and they would start to cut away, cut off, cut into the tree to chip away all the other, unwanted, and design some figure. Okay, so that is the whole concept. Now, when you actually look up this word, let's look up the word etching. Okay, let me pull this up right here. Okay, let's share this tab instead. So we look up the word etching. It says here, etching is traditionally the process of using strong acid or mordant to cut into the unprotected parts of a metal surface to create a design in intangio. Would you look at the key word here, incised in the metal? So in order to get underneath that surface, you need to create an incision, which is a cutting. You need to cut into in order to pass that upper layer. Okay, that is the whole point of charagma. You're cutting into. All right, going back to the definition. Shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahushai Brakatha. Wa Yahweh Shem Yahushai Brakatham. When you go to the definition, in order to brand that horse or to carve that thing or to sculpt, you have to do what? You got to cut beneath the surface. Okay, so that is the first part to this, which is charagma. It's an incision you're cutting into. And then when you go into the root word of charagma, you have charax. Okay, which charax is that instrument. Okay, so here they have a pail, a stake, palisade. What do all these things have in common? They have a sharp end. Okay, look at this. It says to sharpen to a point, right? Akin to 1125. Let's take a look at that, which is grapho. We're gonna get there, but akin to 1125 through the idea of scratching. See, so you sharpen to a point. Why is that necessary? You go, when you look at how they give like injections or whatnot, what they're doing is a form of charagma. They're using a needle, a sharp object, to create an incision inside of the flesh to cut beneath the surface. If they want to draw blood, they do that. They cut beneath the surface and enter. That's why when they remove the needle, blood comes out, because your skin has been, the surface of your skin has been pierced. Now, are they going to use, I don't know, something non-sharp? No. Whenever they're about to give you an injection, they always use a sharp needle, because that is the charax. That is the instrument that they can use to perform the charagma, to cut beneath the surface. Okay. So in order, you first need to cut beneath the surface. That is charagma. You need to create that incision. In order to do that, you need the charax, which is the delivery mechanism. which in this case would be a needle. And when you go to the root word of that, you have here grapho, okay, which as it says here, it says to write with reference to when you go into the overall definition is basically writing or information or data. So the image that I showed before of the tree that showed the carving of the name Mark, what they did was they cut beneath the surface of the tree using some sharp instrument, and they left a writing or information within the tree. Now, how this relates to the C hip, the micro C hip, is first, what are they going to do? Because if you look at how they deliver the or administer the micro C hip, what do? They have this giant needle. All right, they got this giant needle that has the actual device inside of it. And then what do? They grab your hand, they pierce your skin. That's step number one. They cut into your skin. That is charagma. Revelation 13, a mark. That is charagma. They use the needle, which is the delivery instrument, charax, the sharp pointed instrument. And then they inject the device underneath your skin. That device is going to store that data, the writing, the information. Okay, that's the actual C hip, which is going to store the information. In this case, your bank information, how your ID, your social security number, whatever information you want to store in there. And then anytime a scanner goes over it, it detects it, it picks up the reading, and then it can allow your transactions or whatever the case is to go through. But when you deal with Revelation 13 and 16, you have to deal with both verses, because 16 describes to you, when you actually go into the root words, what is the actual method that this mark is administered. What is this actual mark? So 16 is a part of the solution, okay, or the explanation. But you also need the 17th verse, because if you deal with the 16th verse alone, well, you may say, okay, let's see what are the possible things that will fit this description. A mark that involves the incision, the cutting beneath of the flesh. Well, if somebody goes to get a flu shot, they use a needle to cut beneath their skin, and then they inject something in there. That is a form of charagma. So how do you differentiate that from what you're saying is the C hip? Well, when you go into the 17th verse, it tells you that, okay, this is how it's administered. This is what it actually is, but this is what it's tied to, which is transactions, buying and selling. You don't buy and sell with a flu shot. You don't buy and sell with a tattoo. You buy and sell with some form of a payment system. So let's take a look at this. Like I said, I typed this in, which is all forms of payment today. And they showed this. Now, maybe there's more, maybe there's not. But overall, these are the main forms that we're all familiar with, right? You have cash, you have checks, you have debit cards, you have credit cards, you have mobile payments, you have electronic bank transfers. Now, all of these, cash is a physical thing, right? Today, say you're in America, you have paper dollars, an IOU, a debt note, right? Or you may have gold, or you may have silver. And then you have checks. Checks are also paper. If it's an electronic check, then it's just a digital. But you have checks that are, you got a checkbook, you write the check, whatever the case is, sign it, go and do what you got to do, right? Then you have debit cards. You see the thing in their hand right there? That is what a debit card looks like. You also have credit cards. That is also what a credit card looks like. These are all physical things. You have mobile payments. What do mobile payments require? They require a mobile phone, all right? You actually need a phone, a device, in order to make these mobile payments. So if you look at all these forms of payments that have to do with transactions, if you don't have any one of these, you're not going to be able to buy or sell anything, okay? Because even if you say sin is the MOTB, whether you sin or you don't sin, if you don't have a bank account with money, you're not buying or selling anything anyway. Okay? Somebody can go and commit sin, according to Revelation 13, according to Nate's breakdown. if the mark is sin, and then it says if anybody that doesn't have the mark cannot buy and sell, then by definition, anybody that does have the mark can buy and sell. But is there a guarantee that because somebody sins, they will be able to buy and sell? Because say Mr. Johnson sins, he commits adultery today, but he doesn't have any money. He doesn't have a bank account. He doesn't have a credit card. He doesn't have cash. How is he going to buy and sell? Because when you read Revelation 13 and 17, it comes down to buying and selling, transaction. And in order to perform transactions, you need one of these payment options. You need cash or a check or a debit card or a credit card or a mobile payment. You need something of this sort to perform any transactions. That's why if you don't have your wallet, you try to get your phone, maybe use Apple Pay. You try to do all of these things. But either way, you either going to need to present cash, you're going to need to present your card, or you're going to need to present your phone if you want to buy or sell anything. When you go to the store, you're not going to tell them, I committed adultery last night, and they're going to say, what do you want? Well, this will be on the house. That's not how it works. This means that we can now narrow down what are the possible things the MOTB can be to these things right here. Because these are the only things right here that you really need to buy and sell. You got a bank account, but you need cash, a check, a debit card, a credit card. You need something if you're gonna go make a payment, whether you're buying it online or you're actually in the store. But now, okay, let's go back with our understanding of Revelation 13 and 16. This prophecy says whatever this thing is, it has to be some form of a payment system. But in addition to that, it also involves being it has to be cut into and placed inside of your actual body. That's what it says in Revelation 13. No, does it not say a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads? That's inside of your body. So this payment system, this whatever this thing is that's going to allow you to buy and sell, which by definition means it would have to be some payment device, also has to be placed into your body. Now, does anybody know if you can go ahead and get cash injected into your body and go to the store and buy and sell with that? Obviously not. So then what do? You can eliminate cash. Cash cannot be the MOTB necessarily when you talk about actual physical cash, because you cannot take cash, put it into a needle and cut your skin and put an implant cash in there and then go to the store and say, oh, I got cash in my skin, so let me buy and sell with that. You can't do that. You have to give the person the cash. So cash cannot fit in here. You can eliminate that. But the same goes with checks. A check is a physical piece of paper. You can't wrap the paper up, cut your skin and put the check in there. Then it's going to be of no use because you actually have to cash the check in. Likewise, it can be a debit card or a credit card. You've seen the size of a debit card and a credit card. How would you perform charagma using a credit card or a debit card? How would you cut into your skin and insert a debit card or a credit card in there? That's not how that won't work either. So now our list is getting shorter and shorter. Mobile payments, well, that involves a mobile phone. Are you going to insert a mobile phone inside of your hand? That's not what you're going to do. You ain't going to take how are you going to put a mobile phone in your forehead? Or are you going to cut into your hand and put a mobile phone in there? So then we can scratch that off the list. Electronic bank transfers, that's going to involve you having a bank account, and more than likely you're going to do it from your computer or from your phone. So either way, you need one of them devices. So now let's think. Hold on. If it's not cash, it's not checks, it's not debit cards, it's not credit cards, it's not mobile payments, it's not electronic bank transfers, what is there that will allow you to perform a transaction or make a payment, but is also administered through the insertion or the cutting into of your skin? I have an idea. Let's take a look at something called, and this is just one example. All right, let's see. Let's share the tab. So this is one example, one company called Walletmore. Okay, wow, this is interesting. All right, so Walletmore, let's read a little bit about Walletmore. Can we see something on here? Okay, maybe let's take a look at this. All right, so you have Walletmore Payment Implant. Walletmore is the first company bringing keyword payment implants. What is an implant? Let's look up the word implant. Implant definition. All right, what's an implant? Implant, it says here, insert or fix tissue or an artificial object inside a person's body, especially by surgery. Wow. That almost sounds very similar to something I just read in Revelation 13, no? To insert or fix tissue or an artificial object in a person's body, especially by surgery. Well, Revelation 13, what does that say? It says that he's going to cause everybody to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That your right hand or your forehead is a part of your body, is it not? Yes, it is. This mark is, when you go into the word, an incision. It's an implant. Okay, it is the inserting into or beneath the surface of your skin and placing something in there, right? So if we look at the definition of implant, that would have to fit in here. So now let's go back and take a look here at Walletmore. So it tells us here that it is the first company bringing payment implants to the mass market. And if you take a look, oh wow, would you look at this? What does this look like? I don't know, maybe a delivery instrument right here. So anyway, as you can see, what's going on here is what they do is they implant this C-hip, because that's what it is, underneath the skin, using a sharp instrument, some form of a syringe-like material, and then they insert that into the skin. Well, that satisfies Revelation 13 and 16. But now dealing with verse 17, as we were looking at, this is an additional payment system, right? It is a payment implant that will allow you to perform transactions. So that means that this also fulfills or checks off the box for Revelation 13 and 17. Meaning that this micro C-hip, this implant, is something that you can use to actually perform transactions. You can use it to buy or sell. And in addition to that, the way you receive this is through an incision or a cutting into of your flesh. In most cases, it's in people's hands. But you, like, as you can see with Neuralink and I think Synchron is one of the other companies and many other companies, it doesn't stop at just your hand. Okay, they're implanting these things into people's heads and so on and so forth. So when you really scrutinize Revelation 13 and 16 and 17, and you go into the details and you break it down, because that's what you have to do. You got to break it down, make it bare in the most common sense possible, and say, let us look at, because this MOTB, clearly the Apostle John saw something in the world today. So we know that this MOTB, there's something in the world today that can be identified with this prophecy. So if we were to look at everything in the world today, everything artificial, everything physical in the world today, oh, by the way, it has to be a physical thing. You know, I don't know how we classify sin like that, but sin is an action, by the way. Yeah, if we wanted to go with that, sin is actually an action. When you commit sin, the scriptures say that it's the transgression of the law. You break the law. When you break the law, that's an action. When you commit murder, that's an action. When you commit adultery, that's an action. When you eat pork, that's an action. Okay? All of these things are actions. I don't know about you, but I don't know when they started being able to insert actions into people's bodies. Okay? Actions are not put in you. They come from within. But anyway, like I said, when you look at the world today and you say, of all these different things on the planet Earth, what can we identify? Once you break down Revelation 13 and 16, you break down Revelation 13 and 17 into their most base forms, and you say, what does this mean in the most basic form? 16 means there's a device that they're going to have to put inside of your body. In other words, an implant. And 17 means that whatever this device is going to be used for buying and selling. Okay, so what am I looking for? I'm looking for an implant that can be used to buy and sell. Well, if I just look at buying and selling, cash is not, or cash fits, and all the other things that I listed, I showed here, all these things, they fit verse 17. They're used to buy and sell, but none of them fit verse 16 because none of them are implants. So is there something on the earth today that can be used to buy and sell and is an implant? Oh, right, there is. It's called a micro C hip that they're using, and they're going to continue to push in that direction. I mean, it doesn't get more basic than that. So at this point, it's not a matter of you not, I just can't, I can't really know. This has to be deliberate. Okay, there's a deliberate effort to try and make it anything else but. But guess what? No matter what you do, you cannot change the prophecies of the Lord, and the truth always comes out. Go and read what Zerubbabel said, the wise saying. When you had the other two individuals, one said that in the book of First Ezra, one said the king is the strongest, the other said wine is the strongest, right? And I believe Zerubbabel first said women are stronger than both of them, but the truth is above them all. So the truth you can never overcome the truth. You're fighting a losing battle when you fight against the truth, because the truth always prevails. The scriptures tell you that, right? The basically righteousness, the truth is going to flourish. So that's where we're in. We're in the time right now where the prophecy is going to be fulfilled, and time will be the deciding factor, because believe it or not, we at the door of this thing, and it's just a matter of time before they put this thing out. And you will see them. You will see it on TV, just like they did with the whole Pandy, the Vanessa. They did the commercials. They brought out the big vans with the logos. They brought out the mandates. They brought out the incentives. They put out, I mean, everywhere you turned, it was all about the Vanessa this, the Vanessa that, the Vanessa this. You're going to see it with the MOTB. It's almost going to be surreal. They're going to be talking about it. It's going to be on the news. They're going to be promoted in the media. You're going to have celebrities. They're all going to do it. That is the all that you're seeing right there. That is the all. Everybody. Okay, save the elect. And maybe some of them hard redneck Edomites, but who knows? Okay, but anyway, yeah, it's pretty plain, man. I mean, I don't think it gets any simpler than that. I don't know how much more you can really break it down to. Okay, but we still gotta come out and keep making these videos. Because if you compare these two breakdowns, what makes more sense? And with anybody with common sense, even somebody that's an atheist, if you were to present these two and say the micro C hip versus saying sin is the MOTB, what makes more sense? They're gonna look at you and say, how the hell does the first question they're probably gonna ask you is, how can this be sin? And then you're gonna have to explain, and then you're gonna try to jump to Revelation 17 and you're gonna lose them, man. All right, it just doesn't fit. And I think this title, fits it, man. It's flimsy MOTB excuse, because it's not a breakdown, it's an excuse. It's a way to try and go around what we've been saying it is. But hey, man, the Lord, I mean, that the reason that it is this way is because Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai set it up this way. So we're not mad, but we know that we also have a job to do. And our job is to continue to bring out the truth of the matter. So we're gonna continue to do that. Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. I'm gonna end it here. I believe that I made the point on that. So Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.